That's fine. How do you get this thing? Oh, hi. Welcome to Something Up My Sleeve. My name is Billy Shui, and I'm the president of the International Brotherhood of Magicians. It is my honor to introduce you for the evening, your host, my friend, and yours, the sometimes funny Michael Dardon.
All right. Welcome to another episode. This is episode 8, and it has been a blast so far. Thank you, Billy, for this opportunity. Billy, Alex, Sean, everybody, Ryan, everyone that's been involved with the online push, the way of reaching people in the world of magic, a way that even Houdini would have never thought possible. The fact that we can communicate this way, reach out and talk to each other and hang out and have this type of camaraderie is amazing. We've had some incredible guests on the show so far. I'm so honored to bring on world-class magicians and be able to talk to them and ask the question, what is up your sleeve? Which of course we know magicians might actually have things up their sleeve, like maybe a pigeon or a piece of rope or your wallet. But in this case, we're talking more metaphorically, meaning what do you bring to the table? What separates you as a performer? What makes you you? And we get to learn some interesting facts when we do that. It has been a whirlwind over the last couple of weeks. As many of you know, a lot of awesome live events happening. We just had the 100th anniversary of the International Brotherhood of Magicians in Atlanta. We talked a lot about that on the last episode. That was a blast. And then just 2 weeks later, FISM, Quebec, the first time on American soil, the first time that FISM has been in North America, and it was phenomenal. Congratulations to all the people involved, the organizers, Pierre, Rene, Claude. Thank you so much for an amazing job. I think that it was, well, I've only been to 2, but I'd say it was one of the best ones I've been to, but I think many would agree. And I hope that we can see more of these events happening closer to us. It's a little easier for us to get to, but the next one will be in Italy. We know about that. That's coming up in 2025. That'll be in Italy. So start working on your act if you want to compete. We saw some amazing competition acts, some amazing lectures, some great gala shows. And my guests, both of my guests today were in attendance at FISM, so they'll be able to share a little bit about that. And then later tonight, when we stop streaming on Facebook, we're going to keep it going as we normally do in what we call the after party. We keep it going on my Twitch channel so that we can do a little Q&A time and just sit down and chat and talk to my guests and ask more questions and continue the conversation. What live events are happening now? What's coming up? Well, glad you asked. I would like to share that with you. Well, first of all, this weekend in Baltimore is the Pose Magic Conference, which is the bizarre magical theater. And it's actually going to be featuring the one and only Jeff McBride, who will be there. And that's August 18th through 21st. And I believe we have the link we can give you in the chat for that one. Abel, are you able to put that link in there? If not, I can copy it, but we're going to try to throw in the links to these conventions. So if you're interested, you can find out more information. Of course, that one is this weekend, but then also coming up is the Magicians Alliance of Eastern States, which is September 8th through 10th. That's coming up pretty soon, and that is always a fun one as well. So you want to look into, if you're really longing for some live magical entertainment, some live camaraderie, definitely check out what is known as MAZE, which I feel like they could have maybe switched the acronym, MASE or something. It's not a word, but still, you'll figure it out. It's the Magicians Alliance of Eastern States. So that's coming up. And one of my favorites is coming up in November. I want to make sure you guys have the information if you want to register for the PCAM, because the early bird special, I believe, ends like midnight tonight or tomorrow. So take advantage of it. And that is the Pacific Coast Association of Magicians. One of my favorites. So many awesome people that attend that one. I will be in attendance as well in November. It's going to be a blast. It is in Vancouver, so you can check out all of our awesome Vancouver magicians, more amazing Canadians. And speaking of amazing Canadians, I would like to shift gears a little bit, and we'll throw there's the link there for the PCAM. I'll show that on the screen as well so you can see. There you have it. definitely check it out and get registered. Get registered fast. And welcome, Charles. Welcome, Charles is here, and Meadow, hello, and Grindash in the house, and Jackson Jones. Who the heck is that? Uh, segue to a brilliant periodical put out by one of my favorite Canadians, Mark Trudell. This was released at FISM. This is the first edition of Conundrum. And I just wanted to throw a quick plug out because it's incredible. It's in fact, I'm so impressed with this that I'm worried that they did too good of a job, and it's going to be hard to keep up because I have no idea the work that went into something like this. I also think it's really cool that one of the Montreal Trio, who put together the magazine, if you're not familiar with the Montreal Trio, Mark Trudell is one of them. He and his wife are basically the editors and publishers of this magazine, and they featured Big Trick Energy, four of our other favorite Canadians. I have three of the four signatures because apparently Wes had to climb a mountain or something. So now I have to go see him at PCAM just so I can get him to sign my book. I think it's worth less if it's signed, but that's okay. Or at least it's worth less because Eric Leclerc signed it, but it's fine. He wanted to sign it. So, but even I wish you could feel this. Even the feel of this just feels amazing. It's so soft and rich, but they just went all out. And it's very different than other magazines as far as the reviews and even the parts where you're learning tricks. I love the articles, the interviews with Big Trick Energy and all about that show and what they've done. Great magazine, Conundrum. Definitely check it out. I want to get a subscription. I hope that they keep going with that. And speaking of magazines, did you guys notice who's on the cover of our last one that just came out? There he is. He introduced me today. There's Billy. I'm so proud of this guy right here. I think he's the second youngest president we've had at the IBM. For those that don't know, this is the publication that you get when you become a member of the International Brotherhood of Magicians. And then you have access to not only this magazine, but you can see it online, and you have access to all of these type of events that happen online on the website as well. Members have access to that. So you're going to want to check out our most famous and oldest magazine in history, and that is the Linking Ring right here. And who's on the next cover of the Linking Ring? Our gold medal winner, who also just won FISM. So you'll need to see that cover when it comes out. I think when we saw him at the Atlanta convention, we all knew that he was probably walking away with the FISM trophy. We basically knew. And he will be my next guest on next month, Something Up My Sleeve as well. So I've been trying to pin him down. I was trying to pin him down for an interview before FISM even happened because I just knew he was walking away with something beautiful, beautiful act there. And of course, I'm talking about Artem, who, if you were there, you saw the most beautiful and precise magic. Very, very flawless act. Very well done. And yep, Artem is on the cover of the next one. I saw the picture. It must be someone must have posted it. I should have grabbed a screenshot of that. Thank you, Sean. Sean Farquhar in the house, ladies and gentlemen. The cover is great, and Simone's article, I can't wait to read it. But and what I mean, does she have to work hard? Well, look what she had to work with. This is amazing talent. I hope that you get a chance to see that act. And while we're on the subject of walking away with a FISM trophy, I have as my first guest someone who can make that claim, who is a FISM winner representing the United States with a beautiful act recently on Fool Us and featured in the New York Times for the television show Ships on Northern I can't read my own handwriting. Northern Fleet, the ships of the Northern Fleet, which is you can tell us more about that and why it was featured in the New York Times. Loved the act. I'm going to show you a little smidget of it. The act on Fool Us. In fact, I'm going to give you an intro. Why introducing myself when Allison does a great job of it? So we're going to watch the very beginning of the promo done on Fool Us, and then bring up Erik Tait. So here you go.
Let's meet our first possible fooler. I'm a comedian and a magician from Columbus, Ohio. When I was 19, I worked at a vaudeville variety theater as a juggler, and I went to Humber College. I have a degree in comedy writing and performance. I think I'm the only one on the show that can academically prove that I'm hilarious. I wanted to prepare myself as best I could for what the show is. So I printed off pictures of Penn and Teller, and then I set up cameras, and I played audio from some old shows that they've done so that Penn's voice wouldn't spook me. You fooled us. When I first created this trick, it didn't see the light of day for 5 years. Every time I do it, it's always, I don't know if this is gonna work. It's a huge challenge for me. I have been told that this is one of the more difficult card tricks that's ever been presented.
Please welcome.
Hi.
Erik, Tait. Hello. All right.
How's
Let's
it-
see. Is
how's
this
it
work
going,
better?
sir?
We'll do like this one. Yeah, that works.
We
All
can
right.
we can do all kinds of stuff. How are you? Hello, everyone out there in internet land. How are you? I should look at my camera. I do this for a living. How are you?
Internet land. Yes.
Internet land.
First of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
Excellent job. Excellent job. And way to represent. Of course, I want to talk to you about the act a little bit more and your development
Sure.
of that. I am going to come back to it. There's a specific moment from your. I'm not going to show you guys the whole thing. There's a specific moment that I want to share with you from the Fula, so we're going to come back to it. But let's begin before we get, because I million questions about your FISM experience. But before we get into that, tell us about how you're featured in the New York Times and about this television show.
Oh, sure. I was a special effects supervisor for seasons 1 through 4 on Ships of the Northern Fleet. It's a steampunk sky pirate show that aired in the mid to early late 90s. My friend Kate Osborne was that's actually how I met her. She played Annie on the show, and it was just a really good time. There's been a bunch of us who've really enjoyed being on the show and remembering things about the show and sharing different things. Actually, for a while during the pandemic on my Twitch channel, I got in touch with some cast members and other uh, tech people and props people and producers and directors to sort of reminisce about the show, which is really great. There's actually I will later on I will drop a link to a wiki in the Facebook chat so that people can read all about Ships of the Northern Fleet and some of the illusions that I used to bring practical effects onto the television show so that we could dramatically reduce the production costs so there wasn't as much CGI and stuff like that.
I was impressed that I wouldn't have guessed that the production cost was low, because the little research that I've done, the cinematography was amazing, and I think it was very high quality.
Well, one of the things that we did that we worked really hard on was we decided to use these particular brand of Sony cameras so that had this really cinematic quality, which is really nice. But one of the things that allowed us to do was to also really play with sort of different contrast values and color so that we could really display the illusions as though that was stuff that was really happening. Because, obviously most of this took place on Earth, but also sometimes in space. The Maelstrom was a whole thing that we don't have time to get into.
Right.
But it was just doing practical effects just saved lots of time. Also, the one time we used a Pepper's Ghost illusion to simulate a sort of like video link, actually won an Emmy. The actor who was in that scene won an Emmy, I think it was, because because we used a Pepper's Ghost illusion, they were interacting with another actor, but we were able to film it in such a way that it was real, and the emotions really came through, which was just fantastic.
Are you
But
saying
that's a whole,
Are you saying
a
that
whole other thing.
Pepper's Ghost won an award?
I'm
Okay.
saying that if you look into it, if you go into that wiki, you can find out more about how we used a Pepper's Ghost illusion. I mean, it was a cinematic triumph, is what I'm saying.
Excellent.
It's definitely a thing.
I'm going to let someone finish this joke in the chat, because I'm not going to do it. But Pepper, I'll let them finish it. So I skipped over my first question. Can't wait to see what happens. That's exciting, and I want to see what happens in the future with that show.
Oh, absolutely. I'm always happy to talk to anybody about Ships of the Northern Fleet.
Beautiful. my first question always, so that doesn't count as my first question. My first question,
Yeah.
because of the title of my show, is what's up your sleeve? And
Mhm.
by that meaning, you could have actually something up your sleeve, but what do you bring to the table? What makes you unique as a performer? And maybe what brought you all the way to FISM? What is that you're bringing?
I mean, like, what is actually up my sleeve right now is bug bites, because before I was sitting on the porch with my dogs, and the mosquitoes in Columbus were pretty crazy. But I mean, to answer your question, I don't really know. I have a combination of luck, skill, and good friends wound me up at FISM.
Well, if you don't know, I will figure it out along the way, because I know that there's definitely things that I've noticed from the first time I've seen you that I think really highlight you, and we see it as well when you're on the Penn and Teller show. So there are qualities that are up your sleeve that you're bringing to the table, and thank you, Norma, for finishing the joke. So the joke was pepper. There you
I was
go,
I
and
was
there's the
wondering
text.
why. I was like, I've got the Facebook thing over up on the monitor number 2 over here at Deskatron, where
Yeah.
I stream for Penguin Magic, and I saw a bunch of like angry faces, and I was like, oh no, what have I done?
Oh, that's yeah, no, it's because it's a horrible joke.
No, I
Uh,
understand now.
yeah. So there you go. Quickly, can you tell us, since you mentioned what is going on, your involvement with Penguin? Anything
Oh, sure.
happening we should know about before I continue?
Yeah. So basically, I'm a producer and on-camera talent for Penguin Magic. About a year and a half ago, I took over hosting the Penguin Live lectures from Dan Harlan. He was sort of moving on to different things, and he asked if I would take them over. I've known Dan for a long time, and to step into his shoes was, I mean, extremely intimidating. Dan is one of
Sure.
the most knowledgeable and creative magicians on the planet. I mean, you don't literally perform and teach every trick in the Tarbell series and not get to say that about yourself. I mean, he
Right.
really is talented. And so he came to me when he wanted to move on and was like, I'm going to move on and we're going to need a new host, and I want you to take it over, which was I mean, incredibly humbling, that Dan would think that I would do a good job. And so I host the live lectures now, which has been amazing to do, because uh, I get to learn so much magic and meet so many magicians, and I've had so many people be really nice to me and say really wonderful things about my hosting style, because it is different than Dan's. Because Dan comes from a place of knowledge, whereas I come from a place of somebody who actively wants to learn, which is one is not better than the other. It's just a different hosting style, and people responding positively to it has been really great. Uh, so not to wax on too much about products that the company that pays my paycheck uh, does. But one of the other cool things that I've been doing with Penguin is we do these live streams. We live streamed a lot during the pandemic. We did some really fun things, and as things started to open back up and our travel schedule started to change and our shooting schedule started to sort of get back to normal, we still wanted to maintain the live streams to be able to keep a really nice connection, like a direct connection between myself and Nick and the customers. And so on Wednesdays, Nick goes live and he does this Talk About Tricks show on Facebook and Instagram, where you can sort of like ask him questions about the things that came out this week. Because so much magic comes out and Nick and I see it, which is really cool. But then I do a different live stream on Mondays. So on Mondays at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Penguin's Facebook and Instagram, I host what we call the Card Jam. And so far, we've been working our way through Royal Road to Card Magic one chapter at a time. And essentially, what happens is I go live and we literally just jam on what that chapter is about. I teach the sleights involved in it. I talk about any variations that I have or any variations that I've gotten permission to teach, and then we go through the tricks inside of this. And then the videos do not stay up. If we very much considered a live experience. And so if you're new to
Sure.
magic, it's a great place to find stuff out. If you're an experienced magician, sometimes the people in the chat share ideas that are great for everybody. And sometimes I share something with you that you've never seen before. But it's a really fun collaborative experience that we've been doing, which is just really fun. And because we don't save the videos, you just have to be there live, which is lots of fun. So those are the big things. And then I'm a producer and a director and camera operator and video editor, and I host our podcast. And so I'm involved in a lot of the products, your favorite products that Penguin puts out, but also on our podcast I host your favorite magicians. Literally, the last episode that came out was my experience at FISM. The next one that comes out this Thursday, no one actually knows this yet, so this is exclusive for you.
Yay.
The stage Grand Prix winner, Laurent Piron, is interviewed on the Penguin Magic podcast, and it comes out this Thursday. So he talks about
Excellent.
where that beautiful act came from,
Wow.
how he and his partner got together to work on it, and their road to FISM. It's really interesting.
Belgium, right?
Belgium, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's a really, really fun interview that I think is really insightful into the minds of two creators who are phenomenal. So that's
that was one of the two acts that made me cry. Actually, I think
So
you were
good.
sitting with me when we were watching competitions.
Yeah.
The first time that I
Yes.
cried, I didn't want you to notice, but
No, it was. I watched a Belgian chase a tea towel around a stage for 8 minutes, and it was the most magical thing I've ever seen in my entire life. It looked like a
absolutely
Pixar
incredible.
short come to life.
Yeah,
was
it really, that's a good way to describe it. That was trying to think of how to describe it. Like, yeah, it came, I believed this was a real character, a real personality, a real living being.
It's
And
unreal how good it is.
it remind me of my cat. Do you and if we have, there we go, thank you so much, there we go, thank you, Norma. I was going to ask if we have the link for you, so because I know that was a lot of information, but there you go, you can check out Penguin Magic and learn about everything that we're talking about, including the podcast, and especially if you're looking to learn magic, there you go. Do you think that you were asked to host the show, maybe it had something to do with your voice, and maybe that's one thing that's up your sleeve that you bring to the table?
I have been told that I have a wonderful voice for radio, which is a really nice way of saying that my coworker is extraordinarily handsome. No, I was born with this. I don't do anything to cultivate this. It's
born with it. That works for. I could picture a little baby talking just like you. That's hilarious.
I've had this voice since I was 13 years old, and I scared the daylights out of my mother with it.
Jeez, I guess so.
And so this. I don't artificially deepen it. I don't do anything.
Can you artificially? I mean, you can with like a
I
tuner or
can
something.
deepen it.
Okay.
But
wow.
There's no.
He had voice implants. He has voice implants. It's not even real. His voice. Oh yeah, he's got a nice voice, but it's not real. It's not. Yeah.
This is just how it comes through a microphone. I'm sorry. This is.
That's amazing. Very cool. So we're gonna get into the next part of that I wanted to show on the Fool Us, but I want to bring you back to because I sort of want to focus on the development of these different acts that you've done.
Yeah.
So I want to bring you back to when I met you, which I believe was Winter Carnival.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow. And that would have been 5 or 6 years ago, maybe. Well, we all lost about 3 years, but I'm not even sure which one. But you were on. I believe you were competing in the stage competition, if I remember correctly.
Oh God, do you have video of that?
Do I? No. That would. No, I would have liked to have shown. No, but it was great. I remember that it was great. You did a very funny act. It was essentially a stand-up comedy routine. But and lovely. I don't remember if you won, if you placed, but I guess really all in all that's not important, because what I remember is that I really enjoyed the act.
Thank you.
And thought and that was my first time seeing you, and really liked the personality. And then seeing the development, though, because it was a very different act than what we're seeing on Fool Us, what we saw at FISM. Not just because it's on stage and not close up, but.
Well, so that particular one you're talking about, I competed in both close up and stage, and that actually started my sort of FISM track.
Okay.
Because the act, if you saw me on stage and I was standing up, the act I performed in that particular competition was a version of tossed out deck that I do that I think is interesting. I think there's some fun work in it that's fooling. But you know, it's a stand up comedy act, and you know, when you're in a stage competition, sort of miracles per minute matter. But that same the same convention that was, I competed in close up with what ended up becoming my FISM act. It was the original version of the Invisible Monty. There were no
Okay.
bills. The ace stuff in the beginning of it wasn't there. The cards don't go transparent at the end. It was it was very bare bones. It was
Okay.
mostly, the idea was to show off. There's At the time, the act was essentially made up of 3 different moves that are all technically difficult, and the thought process was, there are people who come to this convention who are important at other conventions. If I can compete and show that I can do these difficult moves well, they might want me to come to their convention and either perform or lecture. And mostly my eye was towards lecturing. I love performing, but I really like teaching magic and growing other people in magic. And so it was always an intent to do this in a way that I could gain more opportunities to teach. And so
That's beautiful, and
thank you.
that's the reason to do it. It's really not about the trophies because people, like I said, I don't remember if you won or
Yeah.
lost. I remember the act was good, and that's how we get noticed in this field. That's the exact reason that I
Yeah.
started competing, was because I knew it was the only way people were going to know who I was.
Wh-
Because I knew that whether I win or lose,
yeah.
they'll enjoy the performance.
So I did win. And what was so I won close up at Winter Carnival, and what was kind of interesting was the last time I had competed prior to that was at the same convention about 10 years before. And
Wow.
I competed with a metal bending act. I was like 18 years old or something like that. Metal bending was pretty hot. I had some original bends. I competed with a metal bending act, and one of my judges' forms said, if you'd only done cards, I think you could have won first place. Because in that time, I'd taken second place.
Hmm.
So I took that to heart, and I went off and became one of the best card magicians in the world, and then returned to gain
Which
first place in that
which
regional
is now
performance.
which is now proven. Now, you're not just saying that. Just to remind you, ladies and gentlemen,
Yeah.
you don't have it where you can hold it up, huh? Your FISM trophy, is it
No,
nearby?
you know, if we take a
Ah,
break, I can go get the IBM trophy, the
okay,
FISM trophy, the Winter Carnival trophy.
nice.
I can get a trophy other. I'll go get all the trophies for you.
Here's a question that I've been wanting to remember to ask my
Yeah.
guests, especially ones because I get to interview a lot of people who have won Magic awards.
Mhm.
Is what is an award not related to Magic that have you won? Do you have any type of claim that maybe is not from?
Yes.
Okay.
I
Best radio DJ voice, best strip club announcer. No,
it's not far off actually.
can you just say just do me a favor, say, ladies and gentlemen, on the side stage.
Ladies and gentlemen, on the side stage, coming up right now is Michael Dardon, about to perform his act in a world.
Perfect, beautiful, wow. All
Uh,
right. No, but
well,
what was it? Sorry, I cut you off.
no, it's I used to and still do host a lot of burlesque, which is a
Oh,
great
nice. Yeah,
place for people to get stage time. And
sure.
uh, I I ended up competing in the Burley Picks International Burlesque and Variety competition a number of years ago in Los Angeles, and I took second place overall with a magic act. And so I'm funnier than many people taking their clothes off, but I'm not funnier than all of the people taking their clothes off, is what I used to say.
Wow.
So, I'm pretty happy with that particular award, because it was me using my magic to compete against a very different art form.
That's incredible. I didn't realize that we had so much in common.
Do you do a lot of burlesque? Oh, you're based in
I
Louisiana for quite some
Yeah,
time,
I'm in
right?
New Orleans. I've been hosting burlesque shows for 15 years. 15 years before the pandemic. So like
Oh,
and I have an award that is not a magic award at all. It's
yeah,
called the Greasing of the Poles competition, and I was the first male to ever win that in New Orleans in 2015. Which I'm more famous for that here than
yeah.
going all the way to FISM. It Like nobody even knew anything about what I had done in Magic, but it made front page of the paper when I won the creasing of the poles. But I did some Magic in the act. Yeah.
I bet you
As
and I have
well.
worked with a lot of the same very talented performers.
Yeah, probably. Cool. All right. Well, we'll compare notes, and you're gonna have to just come visit here. I'll have to have you guest MC for us.
Meadow Perry, I don't do voiceover work, but if you know somebody who's looking for voiceover work, I will absolutely do it.
Oh yeah, there
Sorry,
you
I
go.
was paying attention to the chat. You can take the streamer out of his stream, but you can't take the. Never mind.
No,
Keep
that's
going.
good. It's hard. That's difficult for me. I've been trying to get better at that, being able to keep it going and pay attention to interact with. Which we're getting a lot of great interaction because
Oh, it's
this is
fantastic.
you've done Twitch and you see the difference that when we do
Yeah.
these online events, there's a lot of people that are listening in, they're paying attention, they're not necessarily interacting or used to that form of communication as we see on Twitch where people are constantly
The
spamming that
chat can
chat.
just go crazy. Yes, Sean, that offer is open for everyone. Sean, I will gladly do the voiceover for your theater.
I think I'm just gonna maybe have to be the first to hire you because I was just thinking today that I need some type of really cool like intro for montage for when we start the show. So we'll have to talk about it.
We already did it. Coming on the side stage, Michael Dardant. Never mind.
We'll cut. I'll cut that part of it. And Ken's impressed as well. So there you go. Our past president, very impressed with your voice. You don't have to do anything else. You probably won FISM because of your voice. Actually, I'm gonna go now I'm gonna find the spot on the video. So I'm gonna take your video down, but I do have one announcement before I do that. So we're coming right back to Fullest, and I'll bring Erik right back for you to answer a few more questions. But first, when I was talking about the live events, there is an event that I wanted to mention that Billy just told me about. We have another online event that's going on in Australia. I don't know if Australia will ever get to host FISM. Although that would be great, Joseph. I would love an excuse to go there. So, yeah, why not? Can we host FISM down under? However, you don't have to even go all the way to Australia to appreciate this one because it will be online. It is going to be the Open Mic Magic and Trivia Show. And the first one will be on the 23rd of this month, August 23rd, 11 a.m. in the UK, 6 p.m. in Perth, which is a place they make fun of a lot in Australia, from what I understand. 8 p.m. in Sydney. Yeah, if you know anybody from Australia, just say something like, "I hope you're not from Perth." They'll laugh. I don't know why, but it's funny. It's going to be an hour of magic chat trivia, all for free. Your hosts are Joseph McGrail, the No Name Trivia Show, Kevin Peel from the Open Mic Magic Show, and John Foxoff, Global Magic. John Fox, and there's going to be on the first show several guests: Phil Bevan, Dale Truman, and Roy Stone Magic from the UK, and surprise guest as well. That sounds like a blast. I'm all about it. Let's keep these online functions happening because I know I have loved this and I want to keep it going as much as we can. I think we need more of it. I think we're reaching more and more people. So thank you, Joseph. We're looking forward to our brand new show online, the Open Mic Magic and Trivia Show on the 23rd. And now let's go to the video clip because here's what I really loved on the Fullest Act. Let me look at the time slot. And that was Allison's reaction to something really cool that Erik does. So let me make sure it's on the right. Let's see. Here we go. Right about. Should be there. Yeah, we'll start it from there. Perfect. And I'm going to share that video with you.
An M. Night Shyamalan movie. The magicians have studied this game for years, so they understand all of the little fiddly bits that transform it from a simple game into a crime. So if you wanted to use this to rip off magicians like Penn and Teller, you would play 3-card Monty, but you would play it with invisible cards. So Allison, you've got 2 black 7s.
Yeah.
Are you okay?
Yeah.
All right. You got a red queen.
Hmm.
You mix them up, and you are never going to learn anything if I do it for you. Get in there and mix up those cards.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did the sound effects, so it felt like it was real.
That was totes perf.
Okay.
I think Eric should get an award. You should get an award from Penn and Teller just for saying "totes perf." Can we make that a hashtag? Can we make that an official IBM hashtag? Hang on, Billy. Billy says yes. Billy gave his approval. It's going to be an official IBM hashtag totes perf. You heard it here first. I love that. Way to improv with Allison. And I just want to say that that little moment does so much for me. If I didn't see anything else, I've experienced magic because I experienced it through her reaction. And here's somebody who's been hosting this show. She's seen so many magicians, she's seen so much magic, but yet she still all of a sudden turns into a little kid when she sees those cards disappearing. Her face was incredible. That was a beautiful moment, and I love the way she improv with you there. Let's
I'm
talk a
glad you
little.
recognized that was improv. I was supposed to play the 3 shell game, but we ended up playing 3-card Monty instead.
Oh no. Way to go. So you lost your invisible shells is what happened?
Yeah. No, I think what is interesting is the I did improvise. The line "totes perf" has always been there,
Sure,
sort of around that, but it's it's actually supposed to come later in the act, when
Yeah.
they mix the cards around, and she gave me this gift of being able to take this sort of like uh stylized or a vernacular of sort of a valley girl or young young person who's using sort of tween speak that I know is silly coming out of my mouth, but also sort of makes me kind of hippish,
Sure.
and giving me an opportunity to use more of that language later on in the act, because I was able to effectively advance up a line I was already going to use and then bring something in reserve that I knew was also going to be good. And so it was really a gift she gave me, and I I I just had a lot of fun with it, and that was it.
Is that the right spelling on the hashtag, by the way?
I
Uh,
think I don't
okay.
know. I'm 37. I don't know what the kids how the kids spell their.
All right. We'll figure it. Hashtag totes perf. Love it. So I need to keep this going. As you know,
Mhm.
I have a second guest, but we're going to bring Eric back to talk more about FISM. In fact, our whole
Yeah,
after hours talk is basically going to focus on the highlights of what we took away from FISM, what we loved, what
sure.
we saw. But the main question that I wanted to get to, and by the way, later in this episode, Penn says you have an ironic beard. I love the way he says your beard is ironic, and I can get
Oh
where he's
man.
coming from because when I first saw you at Winter Carnival, I remember being sort of surprised because you stand up there and at first glance you look like maybe you should be in a hunting blind trying to shoot at some ducks, but then all of a sudden you start talking and you have this more like James Bond persona with this deep voice, and it is sort of this ironic persona. So other than your personality, we'll come back to that. I just wanted to know what differences between what you did here on the Foolish Show and what you did at FISM. Like, what would you say? What are the main differences, or between those acts, or how it's changed, or uh, your goals with it?
So structurally, the act looks the same.
Okay.
There's a very very small emotional change in the second phase where there's one card on the table, and part of that is because it's emotionally satisfying for anyone to make a bet on the only card they can see, and then for me to reveal that it's been changed. And
Yeah.
the magic plays better that way too. And getting the scripting and figuring out the exact wording to make people put that money there every time is taken 5 years. I mean, we
Wow.
actually really only solved that about 2 months before FISM.
Okay.
Um, Method-wise, the whole thing got re-choreographed 6 months before FISM. Someone took me aside after I qualified and said, "Hey, your hands are in your lap a lot. You need to fix that. You're going to FISM. You're not just screwing around anymore." And so I took that to heart, and we completely changed the way it worked. As a matter of fact, what we ended up doing, the people that I was working with to do this act, because FISM is won by teams, it's not won by individuals. We completely invented a brand new suite of moves in order to deliver those cards into my hands in as deceptive manner as we did, and keep my hands above the table almost the entire time. Because if you're familiar at all with the moves that I'm using in it, you know that I have to go back to the wells, so to speak, to get them. There's stuff that we didn't have time for on Fool Us. I mean, the way the act begins is out of a brand new deck of cards that's opened up by the spectator and shuffled, and then I find the aces. And there's a brand new ending that was created for FISM where the cards vanish one more time, going completely transparent. There's a episode of the podcast that I go through everything in there. And Chris Combs there. So I haven't been super open about this. Your chat just asked me, is there a book on the way? And the answer is maybe. I did write a book, and it involves a write-up of the act. But in preparing for FISM, the original write-up is no longer valid. It's not the way it works anymore. And so if I were to return to that book, I would have to completely rewrite large sections of it. And also update my Castle Act, which would be in the book. And I'm not saying right now that we're working on it, but we're working on it.
Cool.
And so, yeah, so that's kind of what. I hope that answers your question.
I have more questions. Remind me, we're gonna talk about. I was reading in the article about the cards, so I want to get back into that too and ask you about the cards specifically, because I wasn't sure from the article. I wasn't sure a lot of the why, just the fact that it was talking about the difficulty and what you leading up to FISM. Plenty more questions. Can't wait. We're gonna have more in the after party. I'll put the link up. Thank you for that on the Twitch channel. Erik, go ahead and help yourself to the snacks we have backstage and whatever you find in the mini fridge. And I'll join you in a bit. We're gonna now watch an intro and a pre-recorded video from FISM featuring my next guest, Luc Langevin. But how about a round of applause for Erik? We'll see him in a little bit. FISM winner from the United States, the one and only Erik Tait.
Thank you.
And try that again. Where's my video share screen? There we go. Oh, got to click on it. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, the top illusionist of Quebec, Luc Langevin, was kind enough to do an interview with me at FISM. Here's a quick trailer of his digital show, what he's been up to now, and then we'll get straight into the interview. And then I have a very cool video to show you at the end of the interview that relates to his stage act that we're going to talk about as well. Oh, here we go.
Live from my workshop, my new interactive show introduces an innovative concept. Exactly. Where you'll be part of the magic. During this experience, I, Luc Langevin, illusionist, an orange, will guide your mind down a corridor of mystification, at the end of which you'll find something extraordinary. But your logic won't want to go there. It will want to understand the secrets of how things work, escape out another door. Those doors are your rational explanations. The cards are marked. It was hidden up his sleeve. He has an accomplice. Just sent you an email. That's why I will close all the doors and lock them, so that the only gateway out of your logical mind will be through wonder. We will meet each other on screen in a live digital show where you'll participate from the comfort of your own home. And I promise that you'll love where it goes. Where we will all be interconnected.
To another episode of Something Up My Sleeve. We're going to film this now and it'll be on the IBM Facebook page. And I'm really excited because I don't know if everybody in the IBM knows who this is. So if I get to introduce them, that's such an honor. But everyone needs to know who this is because one of the most famous illusionists in Quebec that is not only a great magician, but happens to be a nice guy. So it just makes me sick because, you know, it's a lot easier when these awesome illusionists are like, well, he's probably a jerk. But I'm like, no, he's a nice guy too. This is Luc Langevin. And he's here at FISM 2022. First time it's been on North American soil, and just performed also in one of the galas here. So I prepared a few questions for Luke, starting with the question I always ask because of the name of the show. What is something up your sleeve? Meaning, what do you bring to the table that makes you Luke and not some other magician?
I'm not sure. Maybe, I started my career trying to present illusion in a ways that it looks like science. I wanted people to not to be sure if they're witnessing something that is a weird science phenomena or a magic trick. So I think that's kind of one of my signature, but with the years I tried to do tricks with a little story or trying to generate emotions that goes beyond just the how did he do that. So I think that's what I bring to the table.
You do, and actually I'm going to skip ahead on my questions because that was something significant that is very you, because your background in university was in biophotonics.
Yeah, that's
so
the right word.
let me see how to put this. What the hell is biophotonics? Because it seems fascinating.
Yeah, well, I did a PhD. Well, I didn't complete it. I did a year and a half of research on that. Biophotonics, it's a mix between biology and photonics. And photonics is the study of the lights. But fundamentally, we're looking at what is the light and how do we control it and make it how do we make lasers and things like that. So biophotonics is kind of the study of living cells or living things with lights. So I was working on kind of an endoscope, small endoscope that would have to go inside the human body to see what's out there. So that was my PhD project that I never finished because I got an audition for a TV show called Comme par magie, which that changed my life. And
that's what launched your career.
Exactly. So
excellent. Well, it seems that, because that sounds like a very mysterious field, so it seems that you were already entranced by the mystery. And so it would be natural to delve into magic when that was your background.
Yeah, well, I was passionate by magic even before I started studying science. By the age of 6 or 7, I saw a magician for the first time, and I immediately fall in love with the art. But my parents would say you can do that for a living. So, and I was curious. So science was interesting too. But when I saw with studying lights that we can create illusion, we can create magic with mirror, with lasers, I said to myself, maybe I can create new stuff with it. I remember seeing one of my colleagues working on a false skin to test laser, because the place where I studied was developing like things to shave with laser and things. So they need a very perfect skin, so they do it artificially. And I saw this laser light going through this false skin. And, that would be interesting if I can, swallow a laser and then my veins would write a selected card or something. And it was very inspiring to see those science projects. So maybe that was the start of a new kind of ideas for magic.
And you've had a lot of interesting ideas. In fact, I've seen you many times, and I don't think I've ever seen you do the same act twice. You always floor me with something that I had no idea what to expect. So I don't even know how to necessarily describe the act that you did for the gala.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I was going to ask you, like, how without seeing it, how do you describe something like that?
Well, it was inspired by a trick I saw on a Polaris DVD once that was called tensegrity. You would just balance some object in a way that it should fall, but it was balancing. And when I saw that, why don't we do it on big stage with chair and ladder and big stuff? And on a very practical ways, I was thinking, there's no angle problem with that kind of illusion. There's no thread. There's no lightning problem. So it was I did, for corporate
You
gigs.
didn't have to keep the lights pitch black where we can't even see the performer.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. So I had this idea of doing my corporate show, and at the end, take all the object that I use during the show and do that structure. And actually, this is what I do for corporate, and that's what you saw. You only saw the final, but usually I use. So what I did for people, I balance object in a way that it should fall, but it's holding, and then I take the whole thing and make it turn, and at the end I'm kind of become one of the piece of that structure by doing a lead. So that's how I would describe it for magicians.
That was great. And there's many different types of magic performance and different types of reaction. And in this case, I think everyone there was like complete silence as everyone is just wanting to know what is happening and what's next, because nobody would know what to expect. Would you say, because I always try to look for the theme involved, and the one I came up with was balance. That's kind of what that act was about, and which is kind of interesting when you really start to break apart what does balance mean. That was beautiful. I really loved it, and the fact that like you weren't trying to just do your typical magic act. It was like completely unexpected.
I didn't know what to show here at FISM, because I thought, these are magicians, so they need to see something they're not used to see. At the same time, that tensegrity thing is not that much of magic, it's kind of looked like a circus number or something, so I wasn't sure, but a lot of people enjoyed it. Some magicians, not magic enough, but
Haters. What
haters,
are you gonna do? They're everywhere.
They're everywhere, exactly.
I know.
You have to kick them. Anyway.
Well, one of my other favorite parts, other than the act, was improv moments that you had, because there was something technically going wrong, and Greg Fruin was the MC, and he brought you out to translate to the French people, and you guys are just kind of riffing off each other, and it was awesome because I always talk about, I love improv, and I usually in the show bring up moments of improv that people have had, and it's a moment that's special to the audience because they know it's never going to be the same again. They're
unique.
experiencing this together, and that's why it was probably one of my favorite parts, even though it's silly because nobody was doing a trick and you guys were just trying to keep things rolling. But that reminded me that you have a game that you use to challenge yourself, apparently. Where our friend David will send you a word.
Oh yeah.
He'll text you a word, and then could you explain that? And is that mainly a challenge to yourself?
Yeah, exactly. It started. I don't know when I started to do it with David, which is just behind the camera there. It was during my first tour. One of my technician we just started doing that game where I would, after one of the first number, I would put the next props like off stage, and the guy, my technician, was there, and he would tell me a word that I have to plug somewhere in the show. I have to say it, and it gets harder and harder. So it was just, I don't know why we started doing it. At the beginning, it was just for fun, and after it started to keep me awake. You can go on on automatics. I don't know how to say it in English.
Autopilot.
Yeah, autopilot. You have to always think where I'm gonna put that word, where it makes sense. So it's kind of a game that I managed to enjoy. And now David, each time he comes to see a TV performance or a stage, he texts me a word. 2 days ago it was spaghetti.
Yes, spaghetti.
But I tell
that was my
too
word.
short.
But it wasn't a talking act really. So
yeah, so it was very difficult.
You could have balanced a plate of spaghetti on everything when you were.
Yeah, but it was a lot of trouble just to please David. So
yeah, of course, exactly. But it keeps things fresh, not just for the audience, because it keeps things fresh for you.
Yeah. But I like to improvise also. All my texts are written, but I kind of rebounce on things that will happen. But the challenge was for me to improvise in English, because that's obviously it's not my first language, and it's really hard to improvise when it's not your first language.
It's a whole nother level.
And I like to improvise when I have a track, and that I can go out the track and then come back. But with Greg Freewing, there was no track at all. I didn't know what I was, so it was very hard. You know?
And I loved what he did because that was the first time I saw him MC.
Yeah.
And it's like it was great because you know he held it together and you know just kept it going, and that's what you got to do.
Exactly.
And in these improv moments, yeah, it was beautiful. I love it. I love when we can experience that sort of moment. So. I know a story that I want to hear your perspective on because I'm sure everybody asks you the same questions about like. And by the way, your English is awesome.
Oh.
Okay, so don't even like. I was worried that I may have to speak a lot of French, and then you wouldn't understand me. And so yeah, no, you have nothing to worry about. And on stage
thank you.
it was great.
Well, I did a virtual show during the pandemic, and for the first time, I just said I will try to do it in English because I never done that before. But since it's a show that is on the internet, anybody can see it. So I put like a month or two with a coach to, you know, be better at English. So and I get a little more confidence, but it's not perfect yet. But
For those
good
that
enough.
don't know, his first language is actually French, in case you weren't aware, or Quebecois.
Yes, oui.
Exactly. Which I'm going to remind you of my translation. That was the moment I met you. I was saving that till the end of this to bring that up again because I know that you found that really amusing. Jeu de mots, which is challenging to do in other languages. So, quick story about, because people are probably asking, how did you start in magic? Did you get a magic kit? But I want to talk about a few years later when you first tried to join the magic club.
Yeah.
Because I understand they really made it hard on you and made you think that you were not going to get in.
Yeah,
Which is
they
crazy to
did this
think.
thumb thing where they ask everyone, okay, if you think Luke can join us, you put your thumbs up, and if not, you put your thumbs down, and then go, and then you see like everyone are like this, like one or two people are like this, but and you, and then they go, "Oi!" But you know, at that moment you want to die. So
He's the poor thing. He's a 17-year-old kid trying to impress all these old magicians, and they're messing with him, making him think, no, you're not good enough. You're out of here. Like, can you imagine? It's Luc Langevin before they knew, and they're gonna give him a thumbs down. Oh my gosh, yeah, wow.
and I think
Jerks.
I fool most of them with one trick. On top of that is what do they want? You know.
It's not good enough. Never good enough.
Yeah.
I love that story. What is something positive? Because the last 2 years have been very negative for the world. So what is something that positive that's happened during the pandemic for you?
Oh well, definitely the virtual show.
Developing virtual.
Yeah, because when the pandemic happened, all my, of course, like everyone, everything I was doing was paralyzed. You know, I was living with live shows, TV stuff, so everything was stopped. So, and I guess at that time, the vaccine wasn't known at that moment. So, and in magic show, because most of the time I do live show. In my show, I throw stuff in the crowd. I ask people to go on stage. So it's really not COVID proof. I say it's gonna take I said to myself, it's gonna take a long time before we can go on stage. And we cannot shows like mine. We cannot play in front of half an audience. It's not, even with no COVID. It's hard to be financially, to I don't know how to say it, to get your money back, from you invest, because
right.
So as I said to myself, we have to find a solution. So, and virtual show, I wanted to put a show that would not be something that we do while waiting for the real show to come back. I wanted really a different experience from a live stage show.
Right.
So I wonder, can we create tricks that's for virtual shows, for online shows? So I start thinking about tricks where you receive an email with a prediction, and if everyone has a deck of cards, and could they experience something that you cannot do on. And we build a whole show, but not only the tricks, also the platform, the way people can buy their tickets and everything. The show was called Interconnected.
Okay,
And,
I saw the flyer there. Okay.
Yeah, and I actually did more representation. Is that a word in English?
Yes.
Yeah. I did more. C'est le même mot. Voilà. I did more representation of that virtual show than my last live show, and I even make more money. So it was a great success, and that definitely it changed the way I approach the magic now, because I realized that you can propose thing, even it has never been done. You can try to do it. Because for me it was really uncomfortable to perform for a camera with people on Zoom, and it worked. And now I'm thinking in my live show, can I do a trick where we call someone in FaceTime and do some? Can I do a magic trick where the magic happened in the theater lobby, or I'm just trying to thinking outside the box.
You can call me anytime from stage.
Yeah,
I'll
from
get on.
stage.
And I'll give you a word to improv with.
Oh yeah.
And I'll make a card prediction. Yeah,
All right,
whatever
okay.
you need, for sure. Absolutely. Now, one question I skipped over that I think is very important is if you could talk about the significance of the fact that FISM is here in Quebec.
Yeah. Oh, of course. It's it's a dream come true. When I was a kid, FISM was something so far, it wasn't reachable. So that now that it's in North America and in my hometown, my parents are living 20 minutes from here, and Michael Amor is there, and it's really like a dream.
With no shirt on, but
no shirt. Yeah, that's
he looks good. He looks great.
Yeah, exactly. He can remove his shirt.
Yeah.
If he wants. So it's just a dream come true, and I know for a long time René Claude Auclair and Pierre Hamon, which kind of make this come true, and it's just a miracle that they started from zero. There was no magic club. Where there was a magic club, but it was not official, and so they
were all jerks.
Yeah. now we know it, and they just start from zero, create a magic festival. 1 year after the other, it gets bigger and bigger, and now the FISM. It's just a miracle. So that's it.
So, future now. You've done a lot to give back, and I think that's part of why everyone knows of you as a nice guy, is that you're not a magician who just takes. You give back to the art and in helping the future magicians, the youth. What is your vision for the future of FISM and magic, but especially the youth getting involved now, their future in magic?
Yeah, well, I think young magicians should learn more than just the move and the magic and what we teach them, even in magic school. As magicians that really become pros, they have things that we don't learn in magic books and magic DVDs and they have charisma, they have confidence on stage, they have marketing abilities, and all those things are very important. That's really what makes the difference. So I think with more and more, those young magicians will learn those things, I guess. Or we should teach them, because that's what they need. Bottom line, the magic trick you do is not that much important. Even if your trick is shit, if you're very funny,
right,
it's gonna work.
You saw Erik Leclerc's ad?
Yeah.
So yeah, who needs magic? Did he do any magic? He chugged an entire bottle of vodka, and that was magic to a lot of people. Everybody's asking him, was that real vodka? He's like, it was magic. Yeah. So just be entertaining.
So, but
amazing.
So I think that's what I see for the future of magic. We have to coach our young magician, but show them how to present themselves, how to create, how to innovate. We all know they can find a playing card. Now, what can we do next? So, that's it.
So now I'm going to bring you back to when I met you, and it was such a great moment for me, because here's you came backstage to shake my hand and compliment me, and I'll never forget. So the backstory is,
I don't remember what I said.
Do you remember the line? My line though?
No.
Okay, I'll remind. So it was one of the first times that I had performed in French. I'd spoken in French, but I hadn't had to introduce other people. I hadn't been an MC in French. So I asked Vincent Hedon from France, how do you say a big round of applause. He said, oh, we don't have that phrase. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, we don't say that. I'm like, well, what does he know? He's a mentalist. But I said, well, just tell me how would you directly translate that? And he goes, I said, a big round of applause. He goes, un grand sacre de claquement de main. And I was like, oh my God, that's hilarious. That just sounds so funny. I had no idea how funny, and so the crowd went nuts. And Luke comes backstage, shakes my hand and says, listen, I don't want you to ever learn the right way to say round of applause, because it's one of the funniest things I've ever heard. And I have promised, I have stuck to that. When people try to tell me how to say it, I go, no, I promise, Luke Langevin, I would not learn how to say it the right way. And like, I don't want to know, because I'll continue to use that phrase.
That's a very good advice.
So yeah, it totally worked. It was awesome. I didn't know how effective it would be. And I'm gonna close with this. Something else happened during that time when I was running around with the microphone and we were doing the Q&A with you. And I had no idea what people were asking you at the time because they spoke way too fast. But one guy gets up from the very back. He says something, and I could tell it was weird by the crowd's reaction, but I didn't know what he asked. And what he asked you was all these questions about magic. He asked, can I have a hug? Do you remember this?
I don't even remember that.
And you, because you're such a nice guy, let this crazy person come on stage and give you a hug.
Oh yeah, I remember now.
It was beautiful.
I was terrified something would happen.
I was worried that everybody would rush the stage and try to hug you. So my closing question is, can I have a hug from Luke Langevin?
Of course, do I call?
Oh, there we go. Awesome guy. And thank you so much for being part of this.
All right. So we're about to transition to the after party. Thank you so much, Luke Langevin. That was an amazing interview. In fact, I have another video. So what we're going to do is I'm going to play this video for you guys. It's of the routine we were talking about that he did on stage. I had not yet seen the video, and I love the act on stage. I love it way more the way that it's about to be presented. It is pure magic. So interesting. And then after that video, we will end the Facebook stream because I've already gone overtime. Sorry, IBM. Sorry, it's my ADD. I'm trying so hard to stick to my time. That's why I would have won like twice as many contests if I could stick to a freaking time frame. But we have an after party after the video, so we'll continue on my Twitch channel. It's called Not That Magic Mike, and we have a surprise guest that I'm hoping I bring back for an entire interview because we're gonna have a lot to ask him. But he was also performing at FISM. Erik Jones is in the house. Was a performer in the gala show at FISM. He's been kind enough to come here and hang out with us for the after party. So Tait's gonna be back, and Erik Jones as well. Some of my favorite Eriks. I have a lot of really cool friends named Erik. So we'll play this video for you, and then we'll be right back with the after party. But thank you. If you can't stick around for that or come to the Twitch channel, thank you so much for tuning in. And don't forget, we're going to have more of these. Something Up My Sleeve is every third Tuesday of the month, but also on the 23rd now, our brand new online show in Australia, online improv, magic, and trivia. I can't wait for that one. It's going to be phenomenal. Let's see a little bit more of what Luke Langevin was talking about in this video here. Beautiful. Oh, that's an ad. Hold on a second. That's not what we wanted. Why did that happen? I set it up perfectly. All right, we'll edit that part out. That's not Luke Langevin. That's Buzz Lightyear. Wait a minute. But did the sound come through? There you go. That's a good sound check for us. Did the sound come through? Sweet. All right, beautiful. This is so awesome.
Pardon, monsieur, c'est pas à vous l'échelle? Non, c'est à moi. All right, okay, thank you. avez un édificateur et un tam-tam, est-ce que je pourrais vous l'emprunter?
Wow. Love it. Absolute wow. So cool. So fun. I love it better like that way than on stage. Like impromptu real magic happening just out in the park. Erik Jones in the house. Thank you for being here. It's
Boy,
so
what's going on, guys?
awesome. All
What's
right,
up, Erik?
you'll have to follow us on the next one because I'm ending the Facebook stream now. And yep, perfect. And we're still going on the Twitch channel. And I gotta take out the logo real fast here. I think that's all right. Just and we should be good. Yep, there it is. All right, awesome. So two of my favorite Eriks are right here with me. One who is competing at FISM and one who is performing at FISM. And Erik was in the close-up gala, but he's doing close-up for about 2,000 people. Man, it's never not smooth. Like I keep thinking, at some point I'm gonna see you get a little nervous up there in front of 2,000 people doing a coin trick. But everything worked beautifully. I don't know how much you rehearsed with the camera guys or what, but your angles were perfect. And I mean, your confidence, it was beautiful. But what is that like doing that kind of magic for 2,000 people?
Well, first, I want to say thank you for having me on, Michael and Erik. It's always a pleasure to see you, bro. Congratulations.
Oh, thanks, buddy. It's always good a pleasure to see you.
I've got to be honest with you. It was a walk in the park. And the reason is for the last 5 years, I've been performing on Disney cruise ships, and I perform in the Walt Disney Theater for 1,800 people, nightly. So it was an easy transition. The only problem that I had was I only had 5 minutes to rehearse with Sarah, who's the camera operator.
Really?
I gave her the idea of exactly what I wanted. I gave her the beats, and she's a
Wow.
professional. She made it work. So it went off without a hitch.
You
But
are
I
an
got
ultimate professional. I assumed that you, because we did see some other acts that had issues with the cameras and whatnot, and there were tech issues, and that can always be a thing, especially when you've got all these points you're trying to do, and the camera guy may not know what to expect. And I just assumed that you maybe practiced all afternoon to make sure they got that right, because they nailed it.
Well, we were in rehearsals the entire time, but mostly because that whole show was put together by Paul Wilson and Zabrecki. So we were more making sure that those components worked. And then towards the end of the rehearsal, we had an opportunity to give them what we needed. But I came into this knowing that I only wanted to use the camera for one trick. I knew the 2 beats that I really needed camera work. Went over those with Sarah, and again, she knocked it out of the park. But one of the things that I've gotten really good at, and I'm just blessed to have an opportunity to be able to perform like I am, is I took the lead from magicians on TV, and I play directly to the camera. I make eye contact directly with the camera. So for an audience of 2,000 people, it feels like I'm talking to you directly. And that makes it a lot more personal. That way I can do just about anything that I want to do, as far as close-up is concerned, that will play to a camera, and it'll hit. It'll be impactful.
And the entire show was impactful. Not to take anything away from the stage performances, we saw some amazing stuff. I just showed everybody the equivalency of one of the acts that we saw on stage. But other Erik Tait, I'm sure you would agree with me. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. The close-up show for most people was their favorite, I think. I heard a lot of people saying that was their favorite gala.
100%, for a wide variety of reasons. And I was going to ask you, Erik, do you think that what you've already elucidated on the fact that your experience performing on the Disney cruise ships, because I know you've been on them for a number of years, and I've heard that you crush it out there, and I have to imagine that you've gained some experience with camera work, so that you must have an innate understanding of when that camera is in the right place for you to wait to do that moment. Because I've seen that coin trick many, many times, and it was perfect on that stage. And I'm wondering how, at least how for you that effect has evolved as you perform it for larger and larger audiences. Because at some point you're going to do that thing at the Super Bowl.
I've done it at halftime shows.
Yeah.
So and that's for 20, 30, up to 50,000 people, depending on where I am.
Mm-hmm.
But I think everything that I've done. Oh, we lost Michael.
No. He just.
Oh,
he's going away.
That's now. So I think everything that I've done throughout my magical career has prepared me for the next thing. Like, everyone who knows me knows I got started working with magic companies, creating magic DVDs. And for those instructional videos, I play directly to the camera. Mm-hmm. So that led into me being able to go on TV, like America's Got Talent, Penn and Teller Fool Us, and doing those things. And then being able to, during the pandemic in 2020, playing directly to the camera when I'm doing virtual shows, this is kind of my virtual show setup. So it made the transition really easy to have, in my show, I have 2 cameramen on stage with me, one on either side of the stage, and I play to both sides. That way I'm not just in one place in the theater, and I also do stand-up magic. But one of the things that I used to get nervous about is not having any friends in the audience. And someone told me just to make your show about one person and focus on that one person until your nerves let up. So now that the camera lens is that one person, and that's the only person I'm trying to, win over, and it ends up working.
Do you have nerves though? I mean, I've seen you for years now, and I can't recall ever seeing you appear nervous in front of any audience.
The only time I'm nervous is when I'm not prepared. Okay. But if I know the steps, the beginning, the middle, the ending, I'm usually okay. There are times like when the stakes are really high, or you're performing for a celebrity that you hold in high regard. Then sometimes the nerves will get you a little bit, but I would say 8 times out of 10, I'm okay.
How do you transition from your experience with the camera in your show to the stand-up magic? Because I unfortunately have not been able to be with you in the P3 Magic Theater when you are performing, but I've definitely seen the videos, and you know how to play to a big crowd. And I find it very interesting what you just said about playing to the camera and making that your one friend, and then mentioning that you transitioned to stand-up in those shows, because I know you're a capable stand-up performer. And what is that transition for you in going from playing to this theater of 2,000 people to an intimate moment with one person that is your camera and making it seamless? Because I know that your shows are seamless.
Good word.
Well, there's a lot of trial and error. And I spent a lot of time trying to figure out when do I break eyesight with the camera to go back to speaking to the audience. But primarily it's making it conversational. What I try to do is ask a question that takes the focus from me and the screens to someone in the audience, so that we can then go to this logo as I step in front of the audience. And then as I come back, it comes back to me, so that by the time I sit down, the focus is slowly coming back to me from that stand-up piece of magic, or from the response from someone in the audience before I sit down and have that conversation that leads into the piece. So trying to make it as conversational as possible.
Erik, sorry to hijack this and interview Mr. Jones on this, but I do have only one other question. Is that my understanding is that there's 2 paths to a FISM trophy. One is to compete and earn it, and the other is to trade me your Fool Us trophy for this FISM trophy.
Wow. Oh my.
There you go. We can do it.
Hashtag jealous. I'm gonna go get my greasing of the poles trophy, just because I know y'all don't have that one. Oh my gosh. I didn't even see back there until you mentioned it. Wow.
Well, I want one of those, and I feel like that's a hard one.
Well, they're casting season 9 now, so maybe this is your opportunity.
Oh, stop! I told people I was done competing. Don't make me do it again.
I don't really consider it a competition.
True, you're right. It's not.
It's a celebration of magic.
It really is.
Might end up in winning a prize.
I had a blast on that show. And it was incredible. It was so much fun. Everyone on that show is amazing to work with.
I agree, 100%.
I was looking for video. I didn't know. At a later time, I'd like to bring you back. I was telling Erik, I wanted to talk more in depth about specifically Fool Us. But is there something I could pull up quickly, or I could find that one of just to give a sample for those that maybe haven't seen any of your work?
I can play a quick clip.
Oh, okay, sure. Well, yeah, if you have it there. Okay, we'll do that.
You want to put me on full screen? I'll just play a quick 1 minute.
I'm gonna take ours down.
Moments and all that stuff on it. Just a 1 minute little video that I use in the show.
Excellent. Let's remove.
Impossible is what he does, and the closer you watch, the more likely he is to amaze you. He is true art in motion. Here is Erik Jones.
On a really good day, I can get a coin like this to travel from here into your hand. You can go ahead. Yeah. Check it out. Show them, seriously. Mind blowing. What y'all trying to do? Tell me what you're trying to do. 24-karat magic in the air. Head to toe so clear. Put your fingers up to the moon. What y'all trying to do? 24-karat magic in the air. Head to toe so clear. Look out. Yeah, that's how I
Beautiful.
shows.
Yes, that looks awesome. What would you say? I know where magicians know you from. Like, what do people recognize you from the most that just see on the street or like the layman?
I don't get recognized.
They don't. Well, although you do look different now because were you trying to go with the Erik Tait ironic beard or what's
Yes.
when did the okay?
Look,
Erik Tait / Chris Ramsey.
we're in a beard gang.
I wanted one bigger than Chris Ramsey's.
We're in a beard gang.
Wow.
And the beard gang rolls together. We roll deep and we roll hard. That's all you need to know.
Yeah.
I'm starting to think that maybe I won't be a true sorcerer until I grow out a beard. That may be part of the issue.
Yeah, you gotta get the Gandalf going, bro.
Yeah, totally. Well, it would match the hair, so it would look like a wizard beard. It would basically. I grew it out a little bit not too long ago. And yeah, it was white. It was totally white. I'm not ready to do Santa though. But yeah, I mean Gandalf. I could be Gandalf the white, no problem. But that's more recent for you. Oh, I just realized I have a video. You probably don't remember this, Erik. I'm gonna find it. But when did you? Of course, I hadn't seen you in a while. But when did you grow out the beard? Actually, we can't really see it too well against the sweatshirt, but it's a very full, lustrous. Yeah.
Food gets caught in it often.
You could hide a dove in there.
Geez, 2013 is when I started growing it out. 2014.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then I would have seen it.
Okay. It was about half of this in 2017 when I went on AGT, and then during the pandemic, it was all the way down to here, and I've cut it, trimmed it to get ready for a couple of projects that I've got coming up. I didn't want it to be too big. I had some really weird crap happen to me recently, where a cruise line told me that they love my magic, but wouldn't hire me because they thought their customers would think I'm Muslim. So that was a whole thing.
Wow. Okay.
Horrible. But so I trimmed it down a little bit. But yeah.
It looks amazing in the Microsoft.
Made that awkward as hell. My bad, guys. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It looks amazing in the Microsoft version.
Yeah, just it's Wakandan. So I just put the berries, and, it just worked.
Yeah. Okay, I'm trying to find it. You may not remember this. I did a video. It was at 4F. I'm on my own channel. All right, we'll move on because I'm not locating it, but I know it's here somewhere.
No
I'll find it, but I think it was before your beard. I'm gonna say.
Oh God, I never want to see my chin again, so I don't even want to see the beard. I mean,
do you even know what video I'm talking about? You probably don't remember. No. It's hilarious. Okay, wait.
It's a deleted scene from Metal 1.
Right?
I just saw it. Meadow, can you find? I showed it to you just the other day, so I know it's here. I found it. We're gonna find it. Hold on.
In the meantime, this has to be the coolest thing I've seen in a long time. Have you guys seen this?
Where did you get that?
I think.
Initializing Weapon X protocol. Kill all flat stand humans.
That's amazing.
All Hasbro's favorite Deadpool heads, and I love humans. Must be bad programming.
So this can be used for pranks. Like imagine putting this guy in the bed, putting a couple of pills down, putting something on top of it, or waking up to go get something out of the fridge 3 o'clock in the morning, and this guy's staring at you. It's motion activated, light activated, sound activated. And it's got, it also has a app, so you can program your own things into it. This is the coolest thing I've bought in a long time.
That is crazy.
No, I didn't buy this. This was a gift. I'm sorry.
Well, so Ryan Reynolds is running around with like a chicken with his head cut off, I guess.
Literally.
Oh, I was able to find it just by searching the words. Okay, so it's a very, very it's only an 8-second video. Dang it. I just lost it. What the heck? Hold on. Okay, this is it was you and Oscar Munoz in this video.
Yeah.
All right, you ready for this? It's called Amazing Cleavage.
Oh yeah, sexy.
So now instead.
Oh, you did have the beard. Wow. Okay, I'm crazy then. I didn't realize. I thought that maybe you didn't have it back then. It just wasn't as full. It just wasn't as full. Whoa.
Yeah.
All right. That was an echo. Okay. Sweet.
So Eric, I gotta ask you, bro. What are you working on? Anything cool?
I have a card to pocket that I'm pretty proud of. It's signed, and I got some fun choreography where it's placed in one place openly and it comes out of another place, and I was proud of it, but I started to become really proud of it when I was playing the castle, and people were leaving the close-up gallery and getting immediately back in line to come back in and see it again. And then the moment that trick started, they would all lean in, like they were looking for methods. And I was like, okay, I got something good here.
I like that.
Lay people really like it, but it's got some stuff that kind of messes up magicians, and I'm pretty proud of that right now. So I'm playing with that. That's
awesome.
Yeah. That's the main thing. I have a list as long as your arm of products that I'm working on for Penguin, of just like various things that are coming out that I'm doing stuff for with like in the demos. So I'm learning new tricks and putting them out, and I haven't done that in a long time. So I'm really having fun with that. There's a bunch of John Bannon stuff that I'm really excited to be doing, where it's like, I mean, like, how long has it been since you did like a John Bannon packet trick?
I've never done a John Bannon packet trick, but I love watching him do John Bannon packet tricks.
Man, it's fun. It's really fun. Oh yeah, Meadow Perry's commenting. Meadow saw my card to pocket in the bar at the Atlanta IBM Festival, so she saw like a really weird version of it. But yeah, but like I'm doing tricks for people, which is really fun. And then and actually just today, I got appointed to the FISM committee for IBM. So I'm out there like hunting for the next slate of competitors for Italy to represent the IBM.
So if I could interrupt you there for a second.
Yeah, hit me.
Outside of you, there have only been like 4 or 5 people who've won FISM from America, right? Like a handful of people.
There are. So in the card magic category, there are only 4 Americans who've ever made the podium, and then outside of me, I mean, there's maybe 8 or 9 who've.
Is that like Mark D'Souza, John Cornelius?
So for card magic, it is John Cornelius, Daryl, Greg Wilson, and me. Outside of that, I'm not as familiar with a lot of them. I mean, obviously Lance Burton, Rick Merrill, and D'Souza. But I don't know many other Americans who've done stuff there.
So I'm weird about competitions.
Yeah.
So I've got 2 directions I want to go and ask 2 different questions. I feel like we get spanked overall in FISM. I've been hired to perform at 3, and we very rarely get anything at all. I feel like we need to develop a culture where we're collaborative.
Yes.
We're so individualistic in America that we really don't get together. Like all the Spanish magicians came to support Spanish magicians. All the different countries came to enforce. Here we are in North America, and I feel like we weren't as well represented as some of the other countries.
You're 100%.
They treat it like a team. Yeah, they have jackets.
Not only just the support, but the actual collaboration. Right. If you see someone who has something that's going for you, rather than saying, "Okay, yeah, this is great," and just let them go about, 5 or 6 people need to come together and make that something bigger than it is, and allow that person to shine. That way, next 3 years, they can do the same thing for you. So yeah, like an Olympic team, it needs to be more like that if you're going to go down that road.
You are 100% correct, and I will tell you, and I've spoken about this very publicly. This is not like a scoop. This is something I have said consistently, and I will say consistently forever. There's a number of people that my trophy belongs to, not just me. Nick Lacapo big one. Erik Buss, big one. There's a couple of people who I can't name for a couple of reasons, but Jason England gave me advice. R. Paul Wilson gave me advice. John Armstrong. John Armstrong solved a major issue the act had. It like literally 3 weeks before FISM, John solved that. When I was at Erik Buss came to lecture at Penguin, and I took him out for drinks beforehand, and I said, "Look, man, I know we're not competing in the same categories, but you're an American who's been to FISM. What can you tell me?" And he said, "The main thing I learned was that it's not people who win FISM, it's teams. And if you want to do well at all, get a team together." And that's why I started building people around me, and not just magicians. My music was composed by a musician in Columbus, Ohio, who I've performed with many times. He's composed music for Monday Night Football on CBS.
Oh, wow.
I told him what I was doing, and I gave him videos of the act, and we worked together to get not just music that worked well, but also gave me cues to know where I was in the act, to tell me, you're going too fast, you're going too slow, to put me where I am. My suit was constructed by someone who knew colors and who knew the stage that I would be on, and was like, "Hey, you're sitting, but you need to be able to look good when you stand up." It was a very collaborative effort. The Spanish, interestingly, at this FISM, they had one tech person who worked with all of them, and that guy was all over the place the entire time. I mean, he was in the tech booth when they were performing, making sure all of their audio was at the correct levels. He was talking to the camera guy going, "Man, you got to be on it on this moment. Like, whatever you do, make sure you catch this thing." He was talking to the lighting people. I mean, that guy, his entire role was to make sure that their tech needs were taken care of, so they didn't need to do that. And I would like to build that for the Americans. So I was I was nominated or appointed to this committee, and I want to create pathways inside of the IBM for anyone who wants to compete, because the only way we can get FISM competitors is to sort of foster this community of competition, which is it's a place I've met some of my closest friends in Magic, some places I've had some of my best ideas of just jamming with other competitors, but also to foster a collaborative atmosphere, which is something that Europe and Asia has that Americans don't. And on some levels, that's what makes Americans stand out. But if we can harness our individuality and what makes us so good when we do well at FISM, and then put that in a collaborative atmosphere, I think we can. I think that then I will not be an aberration. I will be the beginning of a tradition, and that's what I'm focused on in competition from the future. I've only got one competition left in me, and I'm not talking a lot about it because it's something very different and a personal goal. But
that's the burlesque contest, right? The stripper act.
Yeah, I want to win the Grease the Poles. No, but I don't have any ideas that I think are FISM worthy. But I want to take all of my experience and everything I went to, and just give it to anyone from the U.S. who wants to walk that path.
Erik Jones, are you asking these questions but just in general, or are you self-thinking that you want to represent as well?
I've got absolutely no interest.
Okay.
In awards. Anytime I go in a competition, just to raise public awareness of my presence, so that I can,
Sure.
keep my rates or raise my rates for
Sure.
public performances. There were, and this is where I was going to go with it. For the second part of the question, which is completely different, because I don't like competitions. I hate them. I like showcases of talent, but I'm not a huge fan of the competition aspect, especially now, because I'm kind of old school. I don't like the idea of everyone gets a trophy kind of thing. I like first place, second place is the first loser. I like which is weird. It's a weird dichotomy. But what real advantages to the magic community at large does competition have? That this level of competition?
So I think everyone competes for a different reason. My reason for competing has always been that I want to teach. And the act that I do is very much me showcasing the fact that I can do a large suite of very complicated, very difficult sleight of hand. And I want someone to ask me to teach them that. And that is a really misguided way about going about that. But given my current job, it seemed to have worked. But it's always been, hey, if I can do something interesting, will someone invite me to a convention to lecture? That has always been my goal with competition. That being said, there are a number of magicians who have spoken at great length about the fact that competition forces them to create brand new things. It forces them to create things that they would not have created otherwise, because competitions are inherently an artificial environment, right? Because we're performing magic for magicians. There's weird shit that happens in my FISM act that I wouldn't do in front of lay people. There's like, I'm moving through a bunch of different palms. I'm faking different moves so that you think that I'm doing something, so that later on, when you go back and try and reconstruct it, you can't. I'm faking one-handed bottom palms out of a Erdnase one-handed shift for no reason other than a magician might be looking in the wrong place.
I had a jar full of thumb tips on my table for my competition act. That's not something I use on a regular basis.
Yeah. It's inherently an artificial place. But at the same time, Stuart McDonald's routine with the mirror was developed for competition. Now that evolved into something that lay people just leap to their feet over. But he's talked openly about the fact that that's a competition piece, and that was a FISM piece for him. And you should hear the story. The hat that he wears is made from remnants of the coat that Lin-Manuel Miranda wore on Broadway in Hamilton.
Wow.
You should hear his lecture on his FISM act. It's amazing.
Wow. Okay.
Rick Merrill has a really wonderful set of lecture notes where he talks about a lot of the stuff that he did to get ready to go to FISM, and ended up winning the Grand Prix. But he also met some of his closest friends in magic along the way in competing, and I'm no different than that. There is a lot of really good reasons, because at the end of the day, what it is an art competition. And at some point you sort of go, all right, there's local art competition, there's national art competitions, and there's international art competitions. And we are sort of creating like degrees of like, this is good, this is amazing, this is astonishing. I think what has happened in America is that in the competition circuit has largely been replaced by a lot of magicians competing because they don't have another place to perform, and they use it as an open mic night. I won't name names or even describe the act, but there have been, in recent competitions that I have attended, I've looked at competitors, and if I had been a judge, I would have said, I'm sorry, but this is not a competition act, please leave. And what I would highly encourage all basically any convention to do is to have an open mic night, have a showcase where you go, look, you get 5 minutes or you get 8 minutes, and you put your name in the hat, and we have these guidelines, because either it's a family friendly convention and so nobody can do this, or there's no rules. You can go as blue as you want, you can do whatever you want. But here is an open mic night where anyone can perform, because I think what has happened is that many magicians will go, well, I only really get to perform at my local IBM ring or my SAM assembly, and so this competition is just another place for me to perform, because they're passionate amateurs, and there's nothing wrong with that. Passionate amateurs are what make magic amazing. Some of the best magic that is created is by passionate amateurs. But the only time they really perform is in front of other magicians. And so what we need to do is separate those two areas if we want to excel on the international stage in competition. And that is to separate and go, look, the competition is for very serious artistic endeavors, and this is where all that lives. But that is not to take away with those of you who create something silly or something wonderful or something that is just not competition worthy, and give them a stage as well. And that's another area that I'm focused on, is giving more opportunities for Magic. I'm getting more involved with my local IBM ring and trying to get it going again in Columbus. We have a very strong SAM assembly in Columbus, Ohio, and I am currently working to sort of get our IBM going on a different night, purely to create more opportunities for magicians in Columbus. Because that is how we get better magic in the United States. Not that we don't have great magic. We have some of the best magicians in the world. Eric Jones, Ryan Plunkett, Nick Lacapo, John Armstrong, Zabrecki, the list goes on. Some of the strongest magic in the world comes out of the workers in the United States. We just don't have a strong competition culture, and that's something I'd like to focus on. End of soapbox.
And the motivation behind it. I mean, I competed for the same reason you did. I knew it was the only way any of you would know who I was. I think the only 3 ways to get noticed in the magic world is either you're an inventor, you get on TV, or you get in competitions, and then people, whether you win or not, they decide if they like your acts. But of course, now I feel the need that I want to continue. I haven't for a while, but I kind of just want more trophies than Farquhar is kind of really the only. That's why I want to keep at it.
Bro.
I know it's
He's
probably
got
a
2 of
no-win
everything.
situation.
At least 2 of everything.
Yeah, I'd have to have 2 of them. Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome. And how about you, Michael? What are you working on? Anything cool?
I have some. I mean, I definitely found FISM inspiring. Actually, that was the main question I want to get from you guys. So after I answer that of what your highlights from that whole event, I found a lot inspiring, and I've got several ideas for what I think could be competition worthy acts, but also I want to make them practical, because like you were saying, most of the competition acts, most of the FISM acts we see, you're never going to see anywhere else, because they're not practical. They're not done by workers. They're specific and in their own environment, and I would rather have something, and it's a better way to master it if I have something that I am using on a regular basis, not a jar of thumb tips, but things that I can actually use practically. And it is, for me, the inspiration of bringing it to that level. And when you're that close, like when I was there in 2015, it's like when you get that close, you feel like, if I just work a little harder, I think I could get a little bit further.
Well, I think it is interesting is that this year there was a lot of practical effects at FISM, and it is my understanding anyway, and I can't confirm or deny this because I don't work for FISM, but it looked to me like they put the judges a lot closer than they usually are, because those judges were right up on top of it
for close up.
For close up anyway.
Yeah, they were right there.
And I mean, if I was sitting there front row and center, if there was a table that did something crazy, I saw what the table did. You may not have seen it on the cameras, but where the judges were sitting, you would have seen it. And as far as the stage acts are concerned, I interviewed the Grand Prix winner from stage, the Laurent Piron from Belgium. They said they set that thing up in 10 minutes from 2 suitcases.
Really?
You talk about the guy with the animation?
Yes.
The
paper.
So I had a conversation, and it turns out the reason they were able to set up as quickly as they were able to is because they got the plans for the theater way in advance, and they rebuilt that theater back in Belgium.
Yep.
So they got the lighting and everything exactly the way they wanted. So when they stepped on stage, they were able to knock it right out.
So that was available to basically anyone who wanted it at FISM.
And no one took advantage of it other than them.
They totally took advantage of that, and they crushed it. So I mean, I literally interviewed them today for an interview that's coming out Thursday, and I asked them that, and they totally confirmed it for me.
That's
yeah,
awesome.
it was so smooth, so beautiful. Now, how practical is that act?
It's from his hour show.
Okay.
I was going to say he's got one person who's assisting.
Yeah.
It can't be any more difficult than the Red Ball from Penn and Teller's show.
when
no, that's a lie. That's a lie. I shouldn't even say that. That's stupid. It's way more complicated.
When he got the first place trophy, he brought his partner out, and his partner is the one controlling that, is controlling the paper. It's one guy, and they felt that it was very important, A, to acknowledge his part in the act, but B, to just tell people, like, look, this wasn't 11 people backstage pulling a million puppet strings. This is one dude.
I'm going to be honest with you. I felt like the guy on stage, I know he's Belgian, but I can't remember his name. He's secondary.
Yeah.
The guy who was backstage is the one creating the actual magic. He's a puppeteer.
Yeah.
And he was bringing those items to life. And had anybody else done it, the guy may not have won.
Yeah, that the relationship between the person and the paper is what won that. Not necessarily the animations, as cool as they were. It was that relationship and how great it was.
The whole thing. That was one of the acts that made me cry.
I mean, like, look, at the end of the day, the act is cool, but at the very end of it, the paper is celebrating on his shoulder, like that they did something wonderful together, and that's when you start to go, oh, that thing is. I mean, you go, it's a lot.
It wasn't over. The act wasn't over. Technically, he went over time because the thing was still going. It was still taking about, like, wait, the act isn't done. It's just still magic happening when everybody's clapping and it's done. Yeah. What other?
I mean, there's a lot of stuff that goes into the judging. I mean, like the technical stuff and how fooling it is and how convincing it is. But I think it's that relationship the relationship that the magician and the piece of paper have on stage makes you stop thinking about everything else. And I would draw a parallel between your coin effect and that is because of the way you move those coins and you make it the most important thing in the world, and your relationship with those coins and the moving back and forth with people. And I think that, to me, that's what draws me really into that, is not how amazing the visuals are. And it takes nothing away from how amazing the visuals are. But
in my instance, the person who's doing the magic and the person who's presenting the magic are the same. The point that I was making is that I feel like the guy who's backstage, the puppeteer, that's the real talent. The person who's actually presenting it could have been an actor.
The wizard behind the curtain.
No, that's 100% right. No, I think that's 100% right. Sorry, I misinterpreted what you were saying. I apologize.
Yeah, no problem at all.
Yeah.
Now, the highlight for me, other than that Belgium act, was a product.
Ooh. What'd you see?
I've been out of magic, like hanging out with magicians for so long that
Are you about to do the jumbo?
Wait, it's blurry. Wait.
I'm trying to focus it now.
Whoa. Oh.
I did see this.
So I don't even want to pull it all the way out.
Oh.
I'm going to stop right there.
Okay.
I saw that. I saw that.
Is the coolest thing that I've seen in a while. It's an IT effect built into a bracelet. Yeah. I've got another one here. So it's like, imagine the spider pin and a bracelet.
Yeah.
So it does everything a spider pin can do. And to me, it's more practical. I will wear this right here with my watch.
Mm-hmm. And
it's incredible. Best thing. I bought 3 of them.
Really?
Because I'm going to do this a lot.
I
don't do levitation. Like I love you, Gail Masika, but I started playing with loops years ago. And there was just, everyone knows as soon as you see someone do this, what's about to happen. This you can set up way before just by setting the anchor down, and you're ready to go. As long as you can manage your space, you can do the effect where you can make a dollar bill float and then have it go all the way to the ground and then come back up to your hand, all that stuff. You can do PK touches, all kinds of stuff. It's incredible.
Yeah,
that's $100 times 3 hours spent.
That was at FISM.
I thought it was very cool.
That's where you got it?
Neat. Yeah.
Yep.
Nice.
Did you see the jumbo what's the pencil through bill? The Copperfield did.
Yeah.
Timothy
with the name.
Yes.
Is it Misled?
Misled.
Yeah.
Did you see the Jumbo Misled?
Jumbo.
No, I would have loved to see that.
Someone had a Jumbo Misled.
What, like one of those big old pencils? You mean like one of the
huge.
silly?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
It was
enormous.
It was an enormous Misled that was just very fun.
I guess you could. Okay. Interesting. What other than we all agree, obviously, of what the main highlight was, and it was accented by a Grand Prix award. What other highlights, memories?
I mean, the other Grand Prix. I mean, Simon Cornell creating a miracle and then handing it out.
Handing it out. How do you? Okay, yeah. How do
guy.
you? I don't understand that at all. And so essentially, that was a win with one effect. I mean, basically, it was one effect.
That was the 4th time I've seen that thing. That
really?
dude's Simon Cornell's a witch.
Fuck that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was sitting in the front row with my mouth agape.
Wow.
And I'm like, there's no way. No, there's no way. No, he's not going to give it out. Fuck that guy.
Dude.
It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. And he better not sell it.
No.
He better not sell it.
So
if he sells it, I'm gonna quit Magic because everyone's gonna be doing it.
I competed with him in Quebec. So I performed. I felt pretty good. I was like, all right, I think I'm gonna place. I might even I don't want to jinx it. I might have a shot at first, but I feel pretty good. Still 4 or 5 competitors to go. And Simon was the last up. And he did that. And I was like, okay, that wins right there. It's it's a knife fight for second place now. I mean, that
was for the qualifiers?
For the qualifiers. Yeah. I saw him do that in the qualifiers, and I did not understand. I didn't understand that I had never actually experienced magic up until that point. I'd seen tricks. I'd never seen magic.
That's heavy.
This is really good.
That's really heavy to say.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, I'd never seen anything that good in my life. And because also, first of all, he's effortlessly handsome. I mean, I just screw him for that, period. And then
wait a minute. Does he have a beard though? So
he doesn't need it.
No, but he has a baldy.
Yeah,
so it could be better. It could be better.
No. It was amazing. And then, but he just straight into the barrel of the camera, and he links all that shit, and it's. I love him. He's a dear friend. But fuck him.
And like I said, fuck that guy.
Yeah.
He's too good.
100%.
And we were actually just commenting the fact that we were watching the face of his volunteer and just commenting of obviously this is a real guy, because that would have to be an amazing actor if it was some kind of stooge, because the reactions were so great that you just know this guy is totally blown away back there. We were just watching his face.
In the main competition, he had a woman on stage with him, and she was the same volunteer who sat at my table 2 hours beforehand. And then we found out later she's a journalist for National Geographic doing a story for
okay,
so
yeah.
If that trick doesn't end up in National Geographic, journalism is dead.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see what they come up with. I remember talking to her. I thought she was working maybe for the FISM people, and because I saw her with the camera, and she's like, "No, I'm working for National Geographic." So I was like, "Well, that's cool, getting some magic coverage, a major publication there." So yeah, I'd like to see what they wrote up, what they had to say about it.
Eric, you've asked us, what are you working
on? Work. It feels good to be back to work after the last 2.5 years. My contract with Disney has been extended 4 times, so I'm almost booked completely solid through October of 2023. I've got one big thing that I can talk about, one big thing I can't talk about. In October, if you go to Showtime, you're going to see me and a couple of other magicians featured on an episode of a show called Let the Right One In, which is based on a horror movie with the same name. And it's filmed at Tannins. So we just did that over the summer. I can talk about that one. The other thing I can't really say much about, but that'll be happening in October as well. So those are the two big things that I'm preparing for. I've got a one-man show, a 75-minute show that I've been blessed to travel all over the country with in certain theaters. I'd like to go to APAP in February 2023, showcase the show to try to get into performing arts theaters around the country, and working on a 10-year plan. I've got a 5-year plan, but extending it out so that I can take advantage of as many opportunities as make themselves available, and try to work as long as I can. I always said I wanted to retire at 65, and then I look at guys who are able to go much longer. Like I got to hang out with Bob Fitch, who's 88.
Wow.
And is more limber and has more energy than I have at 41. So I'm like, if a guy like Bob can do it, I want to be able to do it as long as I can. So I'm going to find ways and as many streams of revenue as I can so that I can continue to live my dream and help other people discover and live their dream as well.
Beautiful.
That's it.
Awesome.
Excellent. Well, we've actually gone almost a whole another hour past that. I had already gone over time, but that's typical for me. But I don't want to keep you guys all night. I actually want to bring you both back because I want to talk in more detail about your Foolus acts at another time for sure. Obviously, the focus is FISM, but
I heard a rumor about Eric's FISM experience.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. And I oh man, I really want to ask this because I think this is a good story, but it's your story as hell. Can I ask you the question?
Over time, but it's honestly, it's Michael's call.
Oh, I don't know what he's going to ask you, so I have no idea.
I heard that there was a forced reset during.
Oh God, yes.
This have you talked about this, or is this something you're willing to talk about?
I don't mind at all. So
okay. Please, because I've heard the story secondhand, and I really want to hear it from you because I would, if you don't mind, after you tell this, I'll fill in anything that I heard afterwards about how wonderful it was, just from an outside perspective. But I think this story is so cool.
So I submitted the Impossible Coins Across to the guys at Fool Us. They look at it and they say, "I think this will be cool. I don't know if it'll fool them, but we'll give it a shot." I get to Vegas and I show it to both Mike Close and to Johnny Thompson. Johnny Thompson says, "It's good, but I think it would be better if you produced the coins." So I have a pin production that I use. So I was going to do that. But what I ended up doing is taking 2 magnets, wrapping them with gaffer's tape so that they want to close. Then I took all 4 coins, placed those coins between, and I stuck them to the back of one of the chairs on stage right. On the other side, I took a half of a styrofoam cup that I covered again in gaffer's tape, put a little bit of just a little cloth at the bottom of it, and I stuck that to the other chair, stage left. And the idea was that I don't even have a Sharpie here, but I was going to show my hands empty, produce the Sharpie marker, let someone check it out, steal the 4 coins into finger palm, and then dump them out. And that would be how I hand the coins out for examination to go into the Impossible Coins Across. So Penn picks 2 people. He picks I would say middle age, really nice blonde woman, and a 6'6" black guy, about 400 pounds, huge linebacker type. The linebacker sits on this side. We're already into the act for filming and everything. The blonde, she sits down to my right. She's got a dress on. So what happens is she goes to adjust her dress to pull it down, and it jostles the coins, causing them to fall all over the floor. So they're going all over the stage. Producers and stagehands come from stage left, stage right from the wings. They come to the front of the stage to block Penn and Teller's view. Someone picks up the coins, hands them to me. I put them back into between the 2 magnets, and I'm like, "Oh fuck, I'm done. I'm done." As I'm looking at Penn, like he's going like, I'm going to quit magic. I'm done. And then I realize they now know that it's a coin trick. They know where the coins are, but they don't know what the coins can do. If anything, the fact that I dropped a flipper coin and 3 real coins onto the floor gave them legitimacy before I got into the routine, which actually helped me. Because then I get to the end of the routine. I thank both of my spectators that go back, and during the deliberation, they guessed the wrong thing like 7 times. At one point, I don't know how they got to this point, but they were essentially guessing Dean Dill's explosion, which there's no way that could have worked for what I was doing. But the truth of the matter, this is another part of the story, and they talked about this on the podcast, that Penn knew that I was using a flipper coin. When they first started, he says, "I think that's a flipper coin." Teller says to Penn, "No, I don't think so. I don't think flipper coins work like that." And that led them to guessing wrong 7 times, which led to my victory. Then afterwards, as they're approaching the trophies being dropped, Penn says in his ear to Johnny, asks, "What is it?" And Johnny says it was a flipper coin. He goes, "Fuck, I got one of those at home." Because apparently he had one on his desk and he was just starting to play with it. And it changed the way that they deliberate. So I got really lucky, and I don't think many people have won by contest, by really contesting their guesses to the point where there had to be intervention. So I got lucky.
Well, so
is that the same story you heard?
It overall is. There's one part of the story that I heard that I didn't hear you tell, which was the coins fall. And then the way I heard it was because you were on when Jonathan Ross was the host before Allison Hannigan was on. And so the way I heard it was Jonathan saw the coins fall and he called in people to do hair and makeup for the lady as a cover. No? Okay. So somebody lied to me to make the story sound awesome.
That sounds really cool. But yeah, no.
The story sounds scary enough already. I mean,
yeah,
really.
I mean, period. Hearing that there was an issue was amazing, and because I don't think I could have performed my act without totally giving it away. After that, I mean, that is like you got nerves of unobtainium. I mean, it's
unobtainium nerves. Wow.
Well, awesome, guys.
I started to go adamantium, but then I was like, oh, wait a minute, no.
You should have said vibranium. You would have got
vibranium.
Vibranium.
So the problem is,
he was talking about Rwanda earlier. His beard, remember?
The problem is that I'm a DC fan, and I know the Metals
in
the DC universe, but I'm not as familiar with them at all in Marvel, and
I get it.
I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. Well, I love Batman. He's my second favorite, but I work on Disney, so he's like Bruno. We don't talk about him.
Thank you for telling that story, Eric, because that is
no
it is like one of my favorite Fool Us stories is your Force Reset of just like how amazing the staff at Fool Us is, and B, how cool you are under pressure. I mean, like, it's this really cool, like, awesome thing. Thank you for sharing it. I was so excited.
No problem.
Excellent. I think I want to bring you guys back. Thank you so much. That was amazing. And absolutely loved running into you at FISM, not knowing really who was going to be there and seeing these faces I hadn't seen in a while, and just love everything that you do. I want to show you something silly I did. I don't know if you've seen this. I filmed this at FISM, and I'll close with this video. But we would definitely want to bring you back. Everybody's loving your beards. This is a quick video that I had an idea to do this funny gag, and I didn't realize that it actually fooled magicians that were standing there, because magicians just they overcomplicate stuff, and they look for a mystery and are blind to the obvious. But the best part was, it was right after I did the interview with Luc Langevin, and he said, what are you doing with that hula hoop? I told him what I wanted to do, and I said it'd be really funny if you were standing there and then rolled your eyes at me and walked away. And he was like, "You want to do it now?" And it was so cool of him to be part of it. So this was my takeaway from FISM. So here you go, little treat for you guys. Yay!
That's good. That's good.
That's
good.
Solid bit. I'm into it.
Love it. I wanted to come up with an Azure. I wanted to go back and put a sheet over it and figure something out with that, but we didn't get to it. But yeah, that was super fun. What a great time. Wow, what a busy week too. Like I barely slept the entire time. I don't know about you guys, but there was so much going on. Hope to see you at the next one in Italy. We have a little time for that one, but I'll see you before then. We got 4F going on now, right? It's back live.
Is it back? I mean, because I'm all paid up, so I'm going.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. So we should be good. Cool. Well, I'll see you then, if not sooner. But thanks so much. Give them a round of applause in chat. Un grand sacre de claquement de main pour les deux Erik. My two Erik friends. Every Erik I've ever known, I've always been friends with Erik. So you guys are awesome. I don't know what it is in the name, but amazing. All right. I'm gonna end the stream. Abel, if you're able to raid out on the Twitch channel, I actually don't have the channel even open to do a raid. But yeah, let's raid. Let's do it. Let's go see somebody. Thank you, Erik and Erik. Let me throw up I'm gonna back up and throw up your sites real quick here. We have there's Erik's Facebook there. Make sure that you guys follow. I know Tait is on Twitch. Erik Jones, are you messing around with Twitch at all?
Nope.
Okay.
I have one, but I don't use it. I don't even remember my password. I need to jump on that.
You gotta throw up those Fortnite dubs, buddy.
Well, I play a lot of other games. I've been thinking about streaming, but I've got so little time at home that I just don't feel like I could dedicate enough time to really enjoy it. But anyway, guys, I've got to go. It's great seeing you. Everyone, stay positive, test negative. That's all I want to say.
Nice.
Guys, have a good one.
I just realized I gotta perform more now.
Yeah, right.
Okay. I gotta get it. I have a cool exit scene too.
Oh, okay, cool. Sweet. Oh, is that your other camera? Okay, wait.
Yes, it is.
All right, so I'm gonna go to my other. Oh, well, wait. You know what? Let me see. I can do, because I'm using my virtual camera through OBS. Oh, well, let's do this then. We'll do. Oh, if I can get it fast enough. Let's see. That's
just do the raid. Do the raid. Do the raid. Go for the raid. Go for the raid. Go for the raid. Who we raiding?
We're raiding. Oh, look, I'm in a spaceship. I'm gonna take off. I'm gonna go. I'm in outer space. I gotta go. And we are raiding. Yeah. Wait, cancel what? No. He's not. No. He was just saying, who are we raiding? Who are we raiding?
Who are we raiding?
No, he's not on right now. He said, who are we raiding? Yeah.
Who are we raiding?
Jack Wong. Oh, you Wong for that. All right, we're gonna go see Jack. Oh, David. David just got Magic David. Oh, there's my boy who helped me so much every time I've been to Quebec. I guess he's there because y'all said hi. And thank you, Magic Champion. I don't know who you are. Look at that. Even Sean Farquhar figured out Twitch. Everybody's got to get on. Oh, there's Billy right there. Okay,
we be raiding. Come on, let's raid.
Let's do it.
Raid.
Let's do it. Y'all throw some emotes in the chat. Say not that Magic Mike's in the house. This was a great show. The whole thing. I mean, the first hour and the second. This was amazing. I really appreciate all the help with it, and look forward to the next one the third Tuesday of every month. Yep, there's Billy, President Billy as Dark Fira with some Billy emotes. And thank you, Meadow. Not that magic mic in the house. All right, and you'll tell me when I can hit end then, right? Tell me when it goes. I'll open it up. I'll open up we'll find it. May as well. I should have had the Twitch channel on the whole time.
Go for the raid. Go for the raid. All right, you have to raid now because I have to go play Fortnite with a bunch of.
No, it should be raiding, but I'm opening my Twitch channel to see. So Abel, just let me know when it goes.
We're raiding. We're raiding.
We're raiding. Yeah, it just always takes a few seconds for it to go. So at some point they'll be watching the next channel and they won't even be hearing me anymore. But I still have to hit end stream.
So excited! Oh, there we go. There we go. There goes the raid. There goes the raid.
Boom. Yay! That's always
Good
fun.
night. Thanks for having me.
That's a cool thing that Twitch does. You got it. See you soon. Awesome. Thanks, guys. End broadcast. Smoke bomb.